Don't you know that that's an impossibility, that could never happen? It is our time to do all we can do, and it's an urgent time. Don't you know that?
And now, Burnie Thompson, where the golden age of radio lives on.
Well, President Obama has two big messages, one for the terrorists, and he has another message for Putin, for Vladimir Putin. To the terrorists, here's what Barack Obama is saying. Our president is saying to the terrorists, the Paris Climate Summit is really going to teach you a lesson. I am not kidding you about this. Listen to this. I mean, can you believe what I just told you? I mean, this is like so over, and it's another one of the over-the-top stories, by the way. Here's the story, and I'm looking at a Breitbart story. President Obama calls the upcoming climate summit with world leaders in Paris a powerful rebuke to the Islamic State terrorists who attacked the city earlier this month. This will show them. This will learn them a thing or two. We're going to play hardball with the terrorists. We are going to tax the ever-living out of the rich people and say that we're going to keep the waters from rising, and then the terrorists are going to go running. You watch. It is so over the top ridiculous that I believe it is a deflection from something else. And I'll tell you what, I got some of it figured out, actually, and factually, I think anyway. And listen to this. Also to Putin, do you know what he's saying to Putin as Turkey has shot down a Russian jet? Here's what he's saying. He's blaming Putin. You've got yourself to blame there. He says that this wouldn't have happened if Moscow was more concerned with going after Islamic State terrorists than attacking moderate opposition to Syria's Bashar Assad, adding that Turkey has a right to defend its territory and its airspace. Understand what Barack Obama is saying. First of all, understand who ISIS is. Putin has said that ISIS is Barack Obama's mercenaries. Now, that's quite a statement. But I got to tell you, it is a weird feeling when I believe Putin more than I do our own president. Do you have the same feeling? I want to give you the phone number, but I have too much to share with you right now. The things that are going on are so unbelievable and over the top and very, very dangerous. And you know this is true. You know this is very, very dangerous. Listen to this. So we've got Turkey shoots down a Russian jet, and Obama says, it's your fault, Putin, because you're attacking the Islamic terrorists that we support that are going after Assad. And Democrats, my Democrat friends, say, yeah, that's right. The same Democrat friends who voted for Obama because Obama promised not to meddle in other countries' civil wars. Who remembers that? Who remembers when Barack Obama promised not to meddle in other people's civil wars? That's something George Bush does, but not us. The Peace Prize president is funding ISIS. And guess what? I just grabbed my bell. You never know. You never know when I'm going to need the bell. Here's the dirty little secret. It's not just Obama, because where does the money come from? The dirty little secret that a lot of you are not going to want to hear from me, but I'm going to tell you anyway, is that John Boehner and the House of Reprehensibles, they also funded it. I see story after story after story of how we have to defund Planned Parenthood, how we have to I don't even hear stories about having to defund ISIS, but we're funding them. And do you know who did it? The Republicans did it. And to which Rand Paul, when asked, what would you do, Rand Paul? A lot of people say, I wouldn't vote for Rand Paul because I don't trust him on foreign affairs. But then when you ask Rand Paul, what would you do about ISIS? Well, the first thing that he said was what? You remember? First thing he said was, for one thing, stop funding them. Stop arming them. And do you know who did it? You're going to say, oh, Burnie, stop saying this all the time. No, damn it, I won't stop saying it because it is awful. My former representative, who is now a D.C. lobbyist, Steve Sutherland funded Planned Parenthood and ISIS in the Cronobus bill, which was $1 trillion $1 trillion under John Boehner and that crew. The Republicans put us $4 trillion more in debt. Do you know that in the history of America, up to Y2K, remember how scary that was? Y2K, all the way from 1787, when we became the United States, not just 1776, I'm talking about 1787, all the way to 2000, we were $5.5 trillion in debt. And the national debt is what? Who knows? That's right. It's the amount of money that the federal government owes us in back taxes. The national debt is the amount of money the federal government owes us in back taxes, and they are borrowing $1 million a minute. The federal government. The federal government talks about shared responsibility, and they are spending $1 million a minute, borrowing $1 million a minute. That's even worse. So I want you to understand, speaking of national debt, get a load of this. So, okay, we've got the Syrian refugees that Obama's bringing in because that's who we are. And you know who else says that's who we are? The new speaker, Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan, he didn't defund it. He said we should put a hold on it. We got to be tough. We got to act like we oppose Obama. But he's not defunding it. Don't say he's defunding it. Paul Ryan is even on board with bringing in the Syrian refugees. And so are the rest of the establishment Republicans, to include Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush is all for bringing in the Syrian rebels. That's who we are. That's who we are. Isn't it something when politicians tell citizens who they rob who we are? We know who we are, Jack. And some of us know who you are. Are you with me? Can I get an amen? All right, listen to this. God, there's so much here. I want you to see this. First of all, Obama has two big messages. One to the terrorists. The Paris Climate Summit is really going to stick it to the terrorists, boy. That is one heck of a rebuke. All right? No, there's not a soul within earshot who believes that. And Obama knows it, but he puts it out there so that guys like me will talk about it so that he can deflect and go on about his criminality and his corruption, aided and abetted by Republicans like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. Is that true, what I just said? So they come up with these unbelievably crazy stories. We're bringing in Syrian refugees. That's so over the top, it's got to be a deflection. There's no other way to describe it. And secondly, now that Obama says a climate summit in Paris, what a rebuke to the terrorists. To the terrorists that you're arming, and the Republicans too. I start to sound like Obama sometimes, don't I? And the Republicans too. You got more to do. All right, so here's what we're not talking about. Because of this stuff, what we're not talking about is the national debt, the amount of money the federal government owes us in back taxes has spiked $500 billion in 3 weeks because the Republican Congress gave President Obama a blank checkbook. They took away the debt ceiling. There is no debt ceiling. The House of Representatives are supposed to control the purse strings, but they have given the strings to Barack Obama. Now the president can spend without any strings attached. And we went up $500 billion in 3 weeks. I told you that from the inception of America until 2000, we were $5.5 trillion in debt. $5 trillion or so. I'm telling you, in 3 weeks, we just went up $500 billion. Because Paul Ryan and John Boehner and Mitch McConnell and the rest of the establishment GOP, they don't want the pressure, as though this is pressure. We don't want to deal with a government shutdown, so therefore we're going to give Obama a blank checkbook. Spend as you want to there, Barack. And you know what Barack says? That's right. He says, all it means is we got to pay our bills, Congress. Barack Obama acts like borrowing money is paying your bills. He has said as much. If you don't believe me, I'll play the clips. Obama has said that borrowing more money and piling on to the national debt is paying your bills. That's what he says. That's his argument. You probably know it. Even if you're a Democrat, you just hate Republicans more than you love America. There's no way that you could believe this stuff. I know a guy who prides himself in being a liberal Democrat, and I think he does so because he doesn't like Republicans. He couldn't possibly believe these things, but he doesn't like Republicans. And therefore, he loses his mind. I'm not big on Republicans either, but I don't lose my mind about it. So understand we've got these crazy things going on. Obama talking about a Paris climate summit is a rebuke to terrorism. Now, if that is not the most insulting thing you could say to the victims of the Paris terrorist attacks, that the climate summit is a rebuke to terrorists, that'll scare them. I mean, that is the most insulting, over-the-top, outlandish, Bolshevik that I can imagine, aside from some of the other things that comes out of his mouth, some of the other hot air that comes out of his mouth. So at the same time he says that, we have Syrian refugees coming in because it's the same logic he used with Ebola. Who remembers this? Who remembers this? The same logic he used with Ebola. And the logic with Ebola was this. We got to bring Ebola patients to America to keep America safe from Ebola, because if Ebola spreads throughout Africa, it could threaten America. Did you hear that? We got to bring Ebola to America because if we don't, it could spread across Africa and threaten America. Somebody tell me that could be said at any time in the history of the world other than this time, which is the era of non sequiturs. We live in the era of non sequiturs. You know it, and I know it. So he does now. Now what he does, though, is the same thing with the Syrian refugees, who we know there are ISIS members among them. He does the same thing. He says, we've got to bring the Syrian refugees and ISIS to America to keep America safe from ISIS, because if we don't, ISIS could spread across the Middle East and threaten America. I want you to think about what I just said. That is insane, isn't it? That is a non sequitur, is it not? We got to bring ISIS to America to keep America safe, because if ISIS spreads across the Middle East, boy, then it's going to be dangerous to America. Let me tell you something. If America got out of the way and ISIS tried to spread across the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iran would decimate ISIS. We're running interference for ISIS. We're arming ISIS. It's a big damn game. And I'm telling you, Republicans like John Boehner and Steve Sutherland, the D.C. lobbyist, when he was in office, they funded this. They funded it. It's not just crazy Barack Obama who did it. The Republicans funded him. And now, I'm telling you, in the last 3 weeks, they have stolen $578 billion, more than $500 billion in 3 weeks. Now that Barack Obama has no debt ceiling. Listen, there's a TV show coming on Monday on Fox 28, and I want to tell you about it. It's called American Recall, and it's by my good friend Mark Wishern and his partner Jeff, and they're calling the show right now to tell us about it, and I want to take their call so I can share with you information about the new show, American Recall, and you're going to love it. I've got my new phone with me. Let's see if this works. Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Your phone's not working, though.
My phone is not working. I hear you.
Hi, Burnie. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is Jeff. This is Mark's partner. Now, what I'm doing here, Jeff, because you can't see me, and I love doing this, I have one of those, you remember in the 1970s, any home phone, the big black phone, like the Ma Bell style phone. I've got one of those phones connected to my box here, and I've got it to my ear. I'm using it to talk to you. I think I am so silly. I'm talking to you on one of these old phones on TV. You're not impressed.
And you just cut out.
Okay.
You just disappeared.
All right. Well, I was telling you that I've got one of these old Ma Bell phones I'm using to my ear. I can't wait for you to see this TV show. But the reason that I wanted you to come on here, Jeff, is to tell us about American Recall, the new TV show that's going to be on Fox 28 starting Monday, right?
Starting Monday, yes. At 9 o'clock at night, prime time. American Recall with Mark Wishern, and the tagline is Rebooting Reality. And so we'll be on there. The whole premise of the show is really to share with your listeners or our audience the facts that aren't really being reported in the news. We want to be able to share with them things that are going on that they may not be aware of, and it's really important to Mark to let people know what is happening in this country and what we can do to stem the tide of moving farther and farther away from a constitutional republic.
Well, I'll tell you what's exciting to me, Jeff, is that Mark Wishern and you both really understand what I think are the great threats facing this country. And Mark Wishern, who is a great patriot, who ran for Congress, and now has his own TV show, American Recall, on Fox 28 beginning on Monday, this Monday at 9 p.m. Don't miss it, because Mark focuses on a lot of things that people don't see. He focuses on sovereignty, right? The being a citizen. He focuses on the money supply and how the government is using that against us. Things that most people really don't, even I don't talk about it that much. These are the kinds of things, aren't they, Jeff, that he focuses on the most?
They are. Those are the primary areas of focus. And the key is everything that will be presented on the show will be documented, and we'll have the papers and other pieces of information up on the website for people to peruse and take a look at and to verify. So, and we are very committed to not just putting up hearsay, conjecture, everything else, but the information being conveyed will be vetted, and those resources will be available to the public.
Well, all right, and I'll tell you what, I even know that you've got a couple of great shows coming up, including one of the things that Mark Wishern does, and he's right now, got his ears pinned back getting this show ready for next week, and I can't wait to see it. But one of the things that you guys have done is really showcase the importance of sheriffs, how sheriffs are key in restoring this republic, aren't they?
Yes, they are. The sheriff is, as Sheriff Richard Mack would say, the last line of defense. They are the only constitutional office in the county that is elected by the public, and they have a direct answering to the public. And therefore, they actually wield more power in your county than any of the federal agencies, and just about as much as the governor does in the state. So the county sheriffs are the key to the progress of making sure that states retain their rights and we retain our sovereignty.
So starting Monday, Fox 28 in 9 counties, Fox 28 American Recall with Mark Wishern, Restoring Reality. Rebooting,
come on, Darren.
Rebooting
reality.
Rebooting reality. I'll get it right. It takes me a little while, Jeff. You know, I'm a slow learner, man. I'm not a fast burner. But what can we expect that first week?
The first week will be more of an introduction. We'll be looking at what the mission statement is, what our goals are, how the format of the show will be taking place. Some of the special guests we'll be having on the show. I know Mark is planning on having Magician on the show, who is a fantastic guy that's written a lot of various illusions for people like Chris Angel and others, and he's just a fantastic performer. We'll have some magical whiteboard stuff. We're going to probably have a county sheriff, ask your sheriff type of a segment as well. And then there's a timeline in the studio that Mark wants to go over as well. And so the first week will be primarily those type of introductions. The second week, we've actually got Sheriff Richard Mack on the program, joined with Sheriff Nick Finch from Liberty County, and then we'll be finishing off with Sheriff Nick Finch as well. So we've got some great stuff coming up.
That's very exciting. Jeff, thank you so much. American Recall with Mark Wishern, rebooting reality. I can't wait.
You got it.
And I'll tell you this, Jeff, we got to hand it to Fox 28 for putting these kind of programs on the
Praise
air.
hallelujah, hallelujah. I sure agree with that one.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much. Tell Mark I said hi, and he needs to take a break at some point. I mean, this guy's working too hard.
Well, you tell him that. No one else is.
All right, take care. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Is that exciting or what? And by that, I mean my phone is my – I love this thing. Tell you what, man, I've had more fun with this phone than I can tell you. So if you are in Bay County or surrounding 9 counties, as far as Walton County, which is where he is, a new TV show coming on Monday, right after Thanksgiving, to I don't know, we're going to sort of bookend it, right? I've got the morning show at 6:30. He's going to, so you can wake up with Burnie and you can go to sleep with Mark, that kind of thing, you know, right there. Stop it. You can get your Liberty dose in the morning and your common sense Liberty dose in the evening. I'll tell you what Mark Wishern does too, that is going to be different than what you get from me, is he spends more time explaining what's wrong with the Federal Reserve. You know, basically Congress has delegated its authority, which is illegal, to central banks to make the money supply. It's illegal what they're doing, and they're not making the money supply so much as they're robbing us blind. And it's really, it started about 100 years ago. The Federal Reserve, it's going to be wonderful when more people learn a little bit about this, is about as federal as Federal Express. It's not federal. And it's going to be exposed with Mark Wishern's show, American Recall. So I just wanted to tell you about that. Again, that's going to be on Fox 28. Monday it begins. I can't wait. I've got pictures. I've seen pictures of the studio, and it is beautiful, as one of my old grandmothers used to say, beautiful. But I want to leave you with this. Some of the important things that have happened just today. And I want to ask you, and as a matter of fact, if you want to join me, I'll take a call if you want to. The phone number is 850-252-8260. I'll take a call because I want to use my black phone again. This is how I'm going to take calls from now on. Since there were no Democrats, I'm just going to take calls from anybody. Oh, speaking of that, on Facebook, somebody, Twitter rather, somebody out of the blue, just randomly says, "Hey, Burnie Thompson, are you some kind of joke or what?" Just like that. And hashtag idiot. So I wrote back and I said, well, I can't really tell you what I said because I usually don't talk like this, but I did this time. I said, if you promise not to be a snarky little, I'll let you come on the show and you can tell me exactly where I'm wrong, exactly where you disagree. I'd love to hear it. And then I did a little hashtag that said, "Come and let's reason together." And she's going to. She said she wants to do it. She said, "I apologize for being snarky." She did. She apologized. And maybe like Jay, remember Jay who came on, at Punjab is swag, that's his thing on Twitter. She'll come on and we'll have a discussion. And my favorite thing to do is to bring on people who vehemently disagree so that we can figure out, basically so ideas can collide and reason can prevail. But these are what you need to know. Obama has told Putin, now that that Turkey has shot the Russian jet out of the sky, it's your fault. If you hadn't been bombing our Islamic jihadists, you wouldn't have got shot at. You've got yourself to blame, Obama says to Putin. Meanwhile, as he continues to bring in Syrian refugees and rebels to the United States to keep us safe from Syrian rebels, got to bring them here because if they expand there, it's dangerous to America. Only in the era of non sequiturs. As that's going on, Obama tells the terrorists, "We're going to really stick it to you. We're having a climate change summit." And Bernie Sanders says that climate change is causing Islamic radicals to become more violent. That's what Bernie Sanders says. Is that unbelievable? And so this Paris Climate Summit, nobody believes it. Obama doesn't believe it. Democrats don't believe it. You don't believe it. Nobody believes it. Yeah, getting cancer keeps us safe from cancer. That is exactly the kind of analogy that I think is appropriate here. By the way, if you're watching on Fox 28, I have cameras all around me, by the way, but one of them is a way that you can watch the show and communicate with me live by downloading the app Periscope. So if you haven't done it yet, download the free app Periscope, and your phone will notify you. Weak whistle today again. The phone, they may need to come out with a pill for that, for a vibrant whistle pill. At my age, it works sometimes, and other times it just doesn't work as well. So, but if you download the Periscope app, that does work, and you can communicate with me in real time. So I hope that you'll do that if you're watching on Fox 28. Also, I want to remind you can listen to the show if you're out and about on myfreedomradio.com, or on TuneIn Radio is another way that you can listen to the show. And, of course, you can find us on Twitter at Burnie Thompson, B-U-R-N-I-E, Burnie Thompson, and on Facebook at The Burnie Thompson Show. I want to leave you with this as well. Do you agree with me that what's going on in the world is with with Syrian refugees coming to America, Obama telling Putin, you have no one to blame but yourself, Obama telling terrorists, this is a rebuke to you, we've got a Paris climate change. All of these are so over the top and outrageous and silly and ridiculous and bodacious, even bodacious. All of these things are deflections. They're deflections that this government has stolen $578 billion in the last 3 weeks from us. Nearly $500 billion our government has stolen from us in back taxes. Some people call it the national debt. This is a deflection. And I'm worried sick that Republicans are not standing against Barack Obama. Citizens are not standing against the federal government, who is now the insiders, and we are the outsiders, more so than Republicans and Democrats. Would you agree with that? That now it is less Republican versus Democrat than it is insiders versus outsiders. Is that a fact, Jack, or what? I mean, that's just the truth, isn't it? All right, I'll tell you what else is the truth. That's going to wrap it up for us, and I appreciate you being with us very much. I'm Burnie Thompson, and I will see you tomorrow. You know what I'm going to do, by the way, soon? Maybe even tomorrow. I am going to read to you the real story of the first and second Thanksgivings. And if I forget, you remind me, because somebody asked me to do that. I did it, was it last year or the year before? And it was very popular, and people learned a lot about what happened the first and second Thanksgivings. It's a very, very important story to remember, especially right now. So thanks for being with us, and I will see you tomorrow.